Gotta relax.
This is Earth Radio. And now here's human music.
Human music. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Gotta relax.
This is Earth Radio. And now here's human music.
Human music. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Gotta relax.
This is Earth Radio. And now here's human music.
Human music. I like it. I like it. I like it.
Hello, ladies and gentlefish. We are back. It is Wednesday, and we're doing our Art Wednesdays, as we usually try to do. We missed a little bit recently, because we've been away and we've been doing things, life and all that. So we're a little behind on our Funguary, because we're doing Funguary at the moment. The whole of the month of February, we are doing mushroom-based artworks. And so we're a bit behind. I've also been pretty slack in that I haven't been doing it on the days that I haven't had art streams. I've been doing other art and other, like, D&D and things like that, and planning for things, and been working, and yeah. Anyway, excuses. So, we have 14 artworks to catch up on in one evening. So, we're going to speed run mushroom art, essentially, is what's happening now. I'm going to get as many artworks as I can done. 14, yes. Because we were away last week. And then, I believe I did some the week before that. These are the ones we did the week before. So we had this shaggy ink cap. We had our little mushroom boys. We had a sexy one for Valentine's. And then we had this creepy mushroom man, and then mushroom fishing. Those are the ones we had, and that got us up to day 9. The ink cap looks amazing, thank you. So that got us up to day 9. I then haven't done any artworks. I have done artworks. I haven't done any mushroom-based artworks from then until now. So we're catching up. We're going to do speed runs. We're going to do these style. This kind of just black and white, simple black and grey that look really good. I agree. I really like this. I like how this cartoon turned out. I think this is really adorable. I think the lips actually turned out really well, and this mushroom, I like the detail on this mushroom. I think I did a pretty decent job, and the fingers are looking great. This dude here is sufficiently creepy for what I was going for. I'm not as happy with the fisherman, the mush hunter. But yeah, I think it turned out pretty well. It's just I haven't refined it enough, and I didn't have the time or the want to do that, really. In the meantime, I have done this lovely tree and background. So I've been playing around with different textures and different brush options and things like that. So I've just been playing around with these different techniques to like make an image look well, sort of more interesting in its sort of textures, rather than just being the flat tones that I usually use. I wanted to get these kind of really textural notes in it. And I think the root structure sort of shows it off best here. But even like these rock faces, like I've tried to get as much fine detail in these as possible. And I think that worked pretty well. I'm gonna have to play around with it. The leaves aren't done properly yet, so I need to finish off those. But that was what I was working on in the meantime. And then I was also working on these, which are the book pages for Lizzie Bell's book. Lizzie Bell's kids' book. So we've got a few of these pages done. This is like 1, 2, 3, and 4 pages. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These 2 are probably going to have to be redone because Lizzie Bell doesn't particularly like them, but that's fine. Yeah, she's got a kids book that she's written, and she's been trying to get me to illustrate for years now. Yeah, literally years. Anyway, so that's where we're at. We're gonna start a couple of new. Let's just go with a 5. That'll be fine, and we'll just do 2 of these. That should give us enough room, and then if we manage to finish to a 5 pages worth, then we'll come up with some other things. All right, so we've got 2 now. Basically, we're going with the same idea of this, of like a couple of images on each one, or 3 images on each one. But yeah, she wrote a kid's book. Mushroom House for a Fairy. That's a good start. There we go. Already chat is helping me exquisitely. So let's start there. Turn this sizing down a little. Cool. Yeah, so she wrote a kid's book, and she's been.
I mean, I offered to pay someone else to do it. You didn't have to.
Yes. But then the person you tried to hire fell through, so.
I mean, I could find someone else.
I'm sure you could.
I am a capable adult.
You are a capable adult. More capable as an adult than I am sometimes. Much of the time.
I mean, you're more capable in some areas than I am.
Yeah. Hi.
Goodbye.
Oh, you're leaving me.
Yeah, look at the time.
How?
I'm gonna be late for art testing.
You're the best. Drive safe.
Thank you.
Tell me how the
last night.
tell me how the Windex goes.
Oh, thank you.
I have Windexed the inside of Mel's windshield because it had some residue or something on it.
It's a car that wasn't mine until recently.
Yeah.
When I got it, the window's just all smeary on the inside, like someone's cleaned it with something not clean.
Yeah.
So I could never see in the morning when the sun's in my eyes because it blurred everything.
What's the book about? It looks like it deals with depression. So.
It's not supposed to.
So here's the issue, and this is exactly why those 2 panels potentially are going to have to go.
It could.
It's supposed to be about
Moon.
the moon and like a child having the moon as a friend, having the moon as someone who like follows you around and looks after you, kind of thing, provides you comfort. I misunderstood when it was explained to me the first time. I thought that we would be exploring in this some potentially darker themes that
We
would
could have 2 versions with 2 different illustrations.
sure could. But I had originally thought that the idea was that like the moon is supposed to be there to like support and look after this child who's going through a lot. Love. Sort of slightly inspired by Lizzie Bell's travel, because as she was younger, she's, moved to different countries and having to like completely uproot your life and move to somewhere else means that it can be difficult to like find friends or have consistency, basically. That there is a lacking of that consistency, and so the moon is a form of a constant companion. And so I had interpreted that as like the story is meant to show this child struggling through some life conflict, and that the outcome of which was that the moon is always there to look after you and to help you, and even on the days when she's not there because she's behind clouds or she's it's a new moon or whatever, and it's too dark to see, that the moon is always in the sky. So it's like supposed to be a comforting thing. And so I had come up with this idea of like the pictures in the story showing the progression of like a family breaking up, getting divorced, moving to a new city, and then having to deal with the repercussions of that. And so the comforting factor is not necessarily the parents, but the moon. The moon is what provides this kid with some kind of relief. So I'm glad that it came across really well. That clearly means that I illustrated my point correctly. But yeah, the idea was supposed to be like exploring the concept of a kid kind of fish out of water style, and how they, but that wasn't Lizzie Bell's idea. So she was like, no, change it, which is fair. It's not my story, so that's fine. But yeah, it was pretty funny when she first saw it. She was like, why does it look sad? And I was like, well, because it kind of is a sad thing. If your best friend is the moon, that's kind of sad. There's not a reason it can't encompass loneliness. Yes, however, if the visuals take up a huge part of how people interpret the book, then they won't interpret because she wanted it to be a fairly like nice book, like a kid's book for younger kids, so that they could have something to sort of latch onto and want to keep reading it. And if the story is about loneliness and has a lot of these like sad, dark themes in it, that potentially they won't want to read it as much, or that it will be viewed only through that dark lens and not through the positive, like, the moon can be your friend story, which is what it's actually supposed to be about. But yeah, I'm kind of the camp of, two versions of the book might not be a bad idea. One lot of illustrations that deals with a slightly heavier topic, and then one that's a little bit more upbeat. Could be an interesting idea. But yeah, Lizzie Bell was none too happy about the changes that I had made, the artistic interpretation that I had brought. So those two panels at least have to be changed, and potentially some other ones as well once she gets a proper look at them. But it's coming together nicely, finally. I'm bad for commissions. I'm good if I don't know the person, because I'll be like, oh shit, I can't just tell this person that I need an extra couple of days or an extra couple of weeks or whatever to finish it. So I kind of just force myself to get it done. But if I know the person, then I have this kind of, like, it's less imperative that I get things done by a certain time frame, and so I will just procrastinate and put things off, and that can be quite bad for me. So I need to work on not doing that in future, for one. But it's hard. You feel me on procrastination? Absolutely, yeah. It can be tough. So how's things going with you, Meg, my dear? Been too long since we've a bit stressed out. Oh no, why? What's the mats? What's the haps? That is too big. There we go. Writing a scientific paper at the moment. Interesting. What's your scientific paper on? Apart from the obvious, mushrooms. Boss needs some figures that only you can make. Bacterial diversity in mushroom compost. Ooh, that is interesting. So is that like the types of bacterium that thrive in like different types of mushroom compost, or is it like a specific for a specific thing, like a particular type of mushroom being used to compose or decompose, I guess would be the word. Yeah, decompose. Specific things. How are we doing as our resident mushroom expert? How are we doing on those mushrooms that supposedly decompose plastics? How's that going? Is that a thing that we have like viably cultivated yet? Because if not, I feel like we should be putting money into that pretty heavily. Let's erase this a bit. It's two-part paper. So the first part focuses on the change of bacteria during composting. The second part focuses on if these bacteria are the same in various compost yards in Australia. Still working on that. Okay, cool. So you definitely need to continue working on that then. Get to it. Chop chop. But that is interesting. Yeah, I had always wondered, many fungi can decompose plastic. Not sure about mushrooms, though. Not sure I want to eat mushroom that decompose plastic. Oh god, no. It seems like a terrible idea to have something you would eat that is decomposing plastics, because microplastics, like, severely fuck up biological systems. And there's a lot of that going around at the moment, in like the sea and shit, because of the whole like UV rays decompose plastics. But yeah, that's a fascinating thing, because I had always wondered, given that fungi decomposes things and bacteria also decomposes things, do they work in tandem? Are they working together as a unified thing, or are they competing for that decomposition process? Is it a competition for food, or is it like bacteria decompose certain things in certain ways, and the mushrooms or the fungi decompose other things in other ways? Dave wants to pick mushrooms that you randomly find around Sydney, which are technically edible, and you're not for it. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, just randomly picking mushrooms seems like an early path to the grave. I love mushrooms as an idea, like as an organism. I'm less hyped about eating them, just because I know how much of it is like, oh yeah, this mushroom looks exactly like this other mushroom, and if it gets like even a little bit of a spore of this other mushroom in it, then the whole batch is like dangerous. Or potentially dangerous, I think I should say. And so I don't want to risk that. I don't want to like poison myself with mushrooms. And I would do it too. I'd be so bad at it. Most of the time they're working together. That's good to know. Sometimes it can be competition, but more often than not, it's cooperation. Especially in Australia where everything wants to kill you. Exactly! See, this is my thing. We already have enough things trying to kill us. We don't need, like, to voluntarily take on the mushroom as well. That being said, there are some tasty mushrooms out there, so it's hard to say. It's hard to say what the go is there. Don't know why I'm doing this on this layer, but I am. So there we go. This is looking pretty good, I think. There isn't too much more that I want to do on this. I think I'll just define that a little better. Mushroom house. All right. One down. 13 to go. All right, let's split this down the middle here, and we'll do two. So we'll do one up here and one up here. Oh. Thank you. Yeah, I've been teaching this week and last week, and fuck, it's tiring. I always am surprised how draining the job can be if you're not really enjoying it. Like if something is if something supports things that you're passionate about or interested in, you can just keep doing them over and over again. But doing something you don't like, it's soul destroying, and it makes you so tired. It makes me so tired. I get so tired. I feel bad afterwards. I feel bad because often I'll then get not grumpy, not properly grumpy, but I notice I have a shorter fuse for things, and I get less patient with things, and that makes me unhappy because I don't want to be grouchy about things like that, stuff that doesn't really matter, but I sort of can't help it because I'm tired, and that's frustrating. Oh, what's all this? You want a treehouse like that? We can make a treehouse like this, I'm sure, at some point. Full-time working is tiring. To adult like this. Yeah. I don't want an adult like that forever. I'm working on getting out of adulting like that. I think when I become a tattoo artist, it will still be tiring because it's physically demanding as well as mentally demanding. But part of me thinks that because it's at least doing something that I enjoy, that it will be less taxing mentally. and that's the thing that I think will sort of do me. Yeah, it's definitely 10,000 times harder when you're not enjoying it. Yes, exactly. Work that I enjoy, being a tattoo artist, making art, would be significantly easier. We're gonna win the lotto tomorrow, which is $120 million. And then I'll never have to like actually work a day in my life ever again. I can just make tattoos and make art and stream and chill. Be a house husband forever. Because I would happily be a house husband, literally forever. Like, nothing would make me happier than just like streaming and being a house husband. But we do need extra money for doing things, and I get that, like, as most people do, but specifically I as a male get that weird, I have to be working, I have to be providing kind of bullshit that seeps in every now and then. And that gets more difficult to ignore and more difficult to manage when we then don't have the money to be able to do the things we want to do, like traveling to Europe or buying a house in Melbourne and things like that. Not having that extra money around then makes it harder to justify that, like, I'm doing work around the house and I'm still being productive and I'm still like providing and helping. Next drawing idea, a mushroom brolly. Oh, I like that. Cool. All right, that's gonna be the third one over here, I reckon. Mushroom brolly. An brolly. Fung brolly. These are gonna be, I think these are angel caps. Angel somethings. I always forget the names of them. Of all these fungi. These really fun guy. And how's work stuff looking for you, Megs? Are you have you got work lined up post post thesis? So I remember it was either you or David that was saying they had been offered a university job, potentially. Shortly after you submitted your thesis, you were hired by your supervisor as a lab tech. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, being a lab tech is cool. That's you! There you go. See, I do remember things occasionally. Yeah, being a lab tech would be cool. Dave had an interview for a technician role today as well. Both be lab techs. That'd be cool. Working at the same uni, yeah. Spicy Pepper Paula. Thanks for the follow. Drop your boy a message. I will. Yeah, we need to organize when we're coming down next. We've got so much shit on up here. It's getting a bit frustrating of like how much we've roped ourselves into. But I'm hoping that we're going to have a little bit more time coming up to be able to, like, come down, see everybody. See you guys mostly, but, like, see everybody. Miss Paolo, miss Dave, miss you. I've been prepping some D&D stuff. Going up to the Hunter for a wedding. 12th and 14th. You met Paolo's girlfriend? Oh, you gotta... Goss, come on. Spill the tea. She seemed like a good egg. Was she a good egg? Are we approving of her? I have more viewers now at the moment, and I don't know if it's people I already know. But if you are watching, ladies and gentlemen, my name is New World Artist. I do all sorts of different types of art. We are doing Funguary at the moment. Funguary. And we are drawing some mushroom-based artworks. I've got to get through 14 artworks tonight. So this is our first one that we did up here, and this is the second one we're working on right now. These angel caps, and then last session we did these 3 and these 2. So we're continuing on. We've got to get through 14, so we're gonna have to rush through and do some just do some black and greys. We might come back and color these later next month, but we'll see how we go. And I'll link my Instagram so people can see the other type of art I do, because I'm mostly a traditional artist. But we're practicing our digital art at the moment because we're doing a few digital art projects for some people, for some friends, and a commission or 2. So I'm basically trying to relearn the skills that I learned a long time ago. Where were we? She's cute. Okay, good. Cute's good. Are we approving of her? Will we allow this union to continue? Didn't really get to talk to her long because you were supposed to be in a D&D session, but the DM cancelled an hour late. Jeez, that's rough. You approve. Okay, perfect. Well, I'll trust your judgment, and also approve for now. Yeah, speaking of D&D, actually, I've been planning a D&D session with Mel's work friends or work people up here, and so I've got like an intro session and a couple of simple things all planned out with like basic character sheets and stuff. But we should try and organize to play that together, like play through that session with all of the Sydney friends, because that'd be cool if we can find time. Have you got Dave into D&D yet? Or are you keeping your worlds separate on purpose? You would like to rope Dave into it. Absolutely, do it. Do it. He'd enjoy D&D, I reckon. I'm not sure he would roleplay as much, but I think he would enjoy the mechanics and the story and like that kind of stuff. I think he would get a kick out of some of that stuff. You need help. Okay, well, I can DM a game for you guys. Like Lizzie Bell Paolo, you, Dave, and that should maybe get him hooked. He can just play himself if he wants to. He can be an artificer. He can just be a tinker gnome and just create engineered monstrosities that cause problems for us all. Paolo's doing horticulture. That's awesome. My brother did horticulture for a while. Or land management. He did land management. But horticulture's cool. Plant boys. Get in on those plant boys. Alright, that's looking pretty good. I don't mind that. We might come and fix it up afterwards, but happy for now. Let's move on to the next one. We were doing a mushroom umbrella. How do I want to do this? Oof. My those are some awful feet. I have not done that properly. Anyway, we'll ignore that for the second and move on. How do I want to do this? Like that. And then yeah, just draw it, fix it later. That's sort of my plan. That's sort of my plan. Just trying to. The problem with it is the mentality of like draw it, fix it later means that you have to go in and tweak a lot of things. And tweak a lot of things that otherwise probably would be significantly easier to just leave if you had done it right the first time. And that can be slightly frustrating. You haven't been drawing much lately? Need to catch up. I mean, I can't talk because I regularly say that I will do things and then don't. I had a New Year's resolution that I was going to draw or do some form of art for 15 minutes every single day. And I have not done that. I've definitely thought about artworks every single day. I've definitely come up with ideas for things every single day, but I haven't like made an artwork every single day, and it's been a problem because I absolutely said I would do it. You've been journaling. Normally you doodle when you journal. That's fine. So here's the thing that I would say about that specific mindset that you just put forward. If you are making doodles, if you are doing any kind of like quick drawing, because these are all doodles, these are all quick drawings, anything like that counts as making art. You are making artworks, you are doing the practice required to then make really good art later. And even some of your doodles are going to be good art. Like some of them are obviously going to be better than others, and some of them are going to need more time to refine them. You're going to need to do more to sort of make them better. But just making something, just doing like little doodles and little somethings is definitely making art. That's definitely doing the thing. There's a praying mantis on your window. That's pretty adorable. I like praying mantises. Actually, we should make this 3/4 sleeve, because then we can put it on the other side as well. So if we make it be like a like that. There we go. Did you hear Russia's invading Ukraine? They're claiming that it's peacekeeping over 2 states that they have now given independence, even though that's not sort of accepted yet. Yeah, World War III. And Putin's just asked all the army reservists in Russia to prepare arms. So any day now. But it's pretty heavily dependent on how the UK, so Boris Johnson, and America, Biden, respond to this very, very clear and blatant threat against the Ukraine. Because there's been a lot of like tough talk. There's been a lot of if you make steps towards an incursion, if you make steps towards an invasion, we're gonna drop the hammer kind of thing. But they've been pretty silent these last couple of days, and that's slightly worrying. They're not gonna hold up, their heavy words, and if they do that, then Putin's just gonna be like, oh, well, Russia in general, but like, gonna be like, yeah, you clearly are all talk, so we can do whatever we want now. That would suck. It also emboldens other countries like North Korea, China, some of the Middle Eastern factions. I'm not an expert on world politics, but ooh. Your old man said that Putin is saying stuff that Hitler was saying back in the day. Yes, yes, there has been some similar rhetoric, which is kind of ironic because a lot of the positioning previously was like, oh, Trump is Hitler, etc., etc. And while Trump's not a good person and has said some very troubling things, he has not said anything that's like directly quoting Trump. No, directly quoting Hitler. Whereas Putin has. And in another weird thing, Biden was quoting Mao, so that's a concern. But yeah, all that world politics stuff is it's tricky business. Tricksy business. The world is fucked. This is why I stick to mushrooms. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yeah, for sure. Stick to mushrooms. Stick to anything that's not humans, really, because boy, do humans suck sometimes. Most of the time. You've chosen a human, he's alright? Yeah. He's a good egg. He's a good egg when he listens. I chose a swarm of bees instead, so... Oh, I have just realised I have not been playing music this entire time. How long have I been streaming for? An hour. Shit. There we go. Now there's music. Ah! I'm a fool. I am a fool. You enjoying the chatter? Yeah. So I enjoy these stream things. I enjoy, like, playing with friends. I enjoy the chill art streams and stuff. But, like, when there's someone in chat who is actually responding and interacting, it does make things a lot easier and a lot better. I have noticed. And then I get distracted by the artwork and forget to talk to people. Valheim streams are fun too. Yeah, the Valheim streams are fun because of, like, all of the ridiculousness that we get up to. I have noticed that that's a particular brand of crazy that we do that works really well. That's fun. do I not get... I chopped too many trees. I don't chop too many trees. I chopped just enough trees. How do I not get felled by them and crushed by them as I chop them down? The trick is that as you're chopping them, they usually fall away from you in like a 30-degree arc, so somewhere along that point. So if you're chopping them from one direction, if you come from one side and just chop down that way, then you're usually pretty good. I usually manage to sort of avoid too much of the bad. The other thing is just I do actually get hit by them a fair amount. You'll notice that, like, as I'm chopping large sections of trees, my little there'll be a little heart icon that comes up, and then my bar will go down a little. It doesn't take a lot of damage off if you don't get hit multiple times in a row, but I definitely get hit. So yeah, it's a thing. It's a little stupid, but, like, you know, gotta do what you gotta do, right? And that's one of the things as well about it, like, Valheim is really relaxing for me because I do just chop trees. That's pretty much all I do. I just go in there and chop trees and not, like, worry about most of the other shit. How often do I woodwork in real life? Rarely. I have done a fair amount of woodworking in the past, but I am not consistent with any of the things I do. I probably have ADD. My mum says nowadays that I have been officially diagnosed. But I don't ever remember being officially diagnosed for that. I was definitely officially diagnosed for dyslexia. But yeah, because of recent interactions with people, I've come to sort of realize that I potentially am more ADD than I thought I was. And I'm very fatty with things, so I'll hyperfocus on a task and spend a month or two learning to do that task really well, and then drop it and not pick it up for like 3 years. So I made the swords for the wedding. I haven't forged or smithed since. I have done a whole bunch of wire work until I got a commission very recently. I haven't touched wire working, like, at all. I do tattoo work. I did some tattoos on my leg. Probably just before the wedding. I have not done a tattoo on myself since. I have done like tattoo practice work, but I haven't done a tattoo on myself since that point. I always want to and be like, oh yeah, I should do that, and then I never actually get around to doing it. Started some sewing projects and haven't finished. Yeah. That it exactly is that issue. And I have it quite badly. I will want to do something, and I will have the motivation to do something, until I come to actually doing the thing, and then it all just goes away. So, like, while I'm in the shower, or while I'm walking, or while I'm at work, or whatever, I'll be like, oh yeah, when I get home, I'm absolutely going to do this thing, and I plan out the whole process of how I'm going to do it. Like, I'll have a drawing in mind, or I'll have a project in mind, and I will plan out all the steps of the thing I need to do, and exactly how I need to do them. I'll envision myself doing them, and then I'll get home, sit in front of the computer, or the TV, or whatever, and just not touch it. It's really bad. Alright, these three look pretty good. I'm happy with those three. Hatworks. There we go. So let's move on to the next canvas. and see what fun things we can do here. What else could I do as a... I'll do a risotto. There we go. I might zoom in and do a small one up here. Get around to it when you get around to it? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the mindset. Which is bad because then you never get around to it. But yeah, I've done a bit of woodworking in my time. I haven't done a whole lot of like really intricate stuff, but I've done some like basic carpentry because I built the tables for the wedding, and then I've done like some other tables and chairs, and I did some stuff for, we made furniture for Quest, which was like flat packable thrones. So I've done that before, and then I've also done little like wood carving sculptures before. So I've done a bit of that. I haven't done any lathe turning, but I would like to. But it is tricky and dangerous. And I am keenly aware of how dangerous it is, and so I'm hesitant to start until I have all of the tools and safety equipment required properly set up, or a workshop that is already pre-set up to do it. But I do actually have some plans for some wood carving stuff. I've got some statues, some religious iconography that I want to put together. So yeah, I've got some plans. And hopefully I actually get around to doing that at some point. Any particular reason for the ask? Are you looking for a I guess what's the word for it? A wood carver? A wood... It's not an arborist, because an arborist chops down trees. Would it just be a carpenter? Someone who does woodwork? No. Oh, you're just wondering. Fair enough. Yeah, I've done a fair bit. I've also done the like... Because I taught TAS for a little bit, technology subjects, so I've done woodworking in a woodshop with kids. So I've done a fair bit of that, and I've had to like make my own projects so that I can then teach the kids how to make the same project or a very similar project. So yeah, I've done that kind of thing. Just like pencil boxes and shit as well as like more fun, intricate things that actually look good and aren't just like half-assed pieces for school. Hey, there's my... Yes, carpenter, there we go. There is my Instagram once again, so if you are interested, go and check out my other art, my other interesting things that I do. Oh, I so want to make my own die set. I want to make... So I have this really nice copper set that Cog got me. Cognitive Bard, the wonderful bardy man. But yeah, he got me this awesome copper die set, and I would really like to make my own as well. It doesn't seem like it would be too difficult, but like casting it is the problem. The other option is make a wood or a bone set, or like a deer antler set. But I'm still working on researching exactly how to like treat it so that they don't just break as you sort of toss them apart and use them. What on earth is this music? But yeah, I'm super keen on making something like that. A wooden set of dice would be really awesome, and I would love to be able to surprise Lizzie Bell with a really, really nice wooden set of dice. Maybe some of that like purple heartwood. Yeah, lacquer maybe. So, I've seen a few things that are like you can resin coat, but in a way like a way of pressurizing the wood or heat treating the wood first so that it is super dry and it absorbs all the oil into it, and that then hardens it, or draws all the resin in and that hardens it. But I don't know exactly how to do that. And one of the processes is like using a pressure vessel, and there's no way I would use a pressure vessel with resin, because you could just fuck up the pressure vessel and then you've wasted a fair amount of money. But also they're dangerous. So the other option is like super drying out the wood, which makes it super brittle for a period of time, but then as you lacquer it, as you resin coat it, or as you oil it, it draws in way more of the liquid into it, because the pores are open for it to fill, and so then it permeates the wood much deeper, allowing you to have a significantly stronger wood afterwards. Also, picking your wood would be important, picking like a nice hardwood. So I think the purple heart would be good, because it would look really nice, because it's that like beautiful purpley marony color, like almost sort of magenta-y, but like darker. Depending on how much oxidization it gets, it changes color. So it can be like more reddy, or it can be very purpley, or it can be quite vibrant, which is nice. Do I need to add anything else to this? But yeah, that would be awesome, getting her a wooden set, or making a wooden set. I think she would really appreciate that. I'm always thinking about wonderful things I can do for my beautiful wife, because she's so wonderful to me all the time. Ebony would be really nice, actually. I think I've still got some ebony wood. I got a bunch of ebony wood because Lizzie Bell wanted to make my wedding ring originally, because I had made all of her rings. For those who don't know, I do a little bit of forge work here and there, and I did some jewelry making in university. And so for our wedding and for our engagement actually as well, I made the rings. I got some gold, just some like stock gold, and actually forged out 2 lovely rings for her. And so she wanted to do the same for me, but just couldn't find the time in between working and then getting ready for the actual wedding. There was a lot to get ready for the wedding. And so she ended up buying one, which was basically exactly what she wanted to make for me, which was nice. I was very happy with it. I unfortunately then lost it. So I'm wearing the backup ring, which is here. I don't know if you can see very well. So this like nice black wood outside, and then it's got a copper. It only fits on my pinky, unfortunately. So I've got these 2 other rings here. So I am actually wearing rings, but then I'm wearing the wedding ring that was there on the wedding day. But the really nice one that she got me, which is like it's all black ebony wood, and then it's got a single band of gold, like a gold metal ring in it, embedded into the wood. And unfortunately, I lost it. So I was making food for Christmas or Sophia's birthday, a family event, basically. And during that family event, I had to make something, I had to cook something. And so I had washed my hands and taken the ring off, because I had to take the ring off because it absorbed water, and so it was holding water up against my skin, and so it was causing issues. So I had to take it off, and then because I was doing something like cooking something with my hands, I was doing a lot of kneading. I didn't want to keep the ring on, so I kept it in my, like, the little pocket in my jeans. And then as soon as I then I will admit I went outside to Pokemon hunt. So it is my own fault. But I went outside to Pokemon hunt halfway along that trip, which was very, very short, just to the end of the road. I then noticed that the ring was gone. And so that was it. I had lost the ring, unfortunately. And Lizzie Bell took it in stride. She just thought I was silly. I was a little distraught about it for a while, but got over it pretty quick, and we've ordered a new one, so like an exact copy of the ring. I know, it's so sad. We had 2 people come down with metal detectors to try and find the tiny gold band in the wooden band, and they couldn't find it, so it's lost to the ages. I like to think there's someone out there who found it and was super happy about having it. So, you know, best of luck to them. I think I want to do I'm going to do like if I can do it right. Almost. Yeah. I'm gonna do a what's it called? Like an agar dish, a specimen growth medium. What are they called? Our resident mycologist will be able to tell us. Yeah, it's absolutely a needle in a haystack. That's exactly the problem. Should go looking. Maybe you'll spot it, like you spotted the spider in Hyde Park. Yes, actually, maybe you should. You'll have to go up to Mittagong to try and find it. Agar plate. Yeah, there's another word for it, I think, that I'm thinking of that I do not remember. But yeah, that's essentially what I meant, like an agar dish plate thing for growth medium. Dave wouldn't oppose. Yeah, well. It would be cool to because Mum's got a spare bedroom up there. So maybe having, like, as long as you guys don't mind staying at Mum's place, staying with her, and then we'll, you know, hang around Mittagong, or you could stay elsewhere and catch up during the day. But yeah, that's where it is, somewhere in there. So. Tia. She's just asleep on the couch. She's being adorable. Did I have Tia Cam on here? I did. Tia Cam. Oh, here we go. Tia Cam. Let's see if I can... I don't think it's gonna hold. There's Tia Cam. Can I do it from this side, actually? Is that gonna work? Try and not get all of our mess in there. Oh, she's adorable. Alright, so this is drawing number 5. Yep, drawing number 5. And it has taken us an hour and 17 minutes. Actually, I started 5 minutes after, so it's an hour and 10 minutes to get there. Yes, she is beautiful. She's the best. We love her so much. She's the best puppy as well. Like, she causes a couple of troubles every now and then, but really, she's actually a very well-behaved dog. We are super lucky because she's so good with kids. She's so good, usually with other dogs. Unless they're aggressive to her first, she's usually really, really nice with other dogs. She does have a problem with men, specifically older men as well, which we have a feeling comes from her treatment and her background. Cat has a problem with men? That's fair. Cats have problems with everybody, though. Cats are assholes. And I know this will be a controversial thing to say on the internet, but, like, most cats don't actually like you. They just tolerate your existence. Because so many times, so many times, people have been like, oh yeah, you'll like my cat. He's not like other cats. He thinks he's a dog. And I'm like, okay, if your selling point to me about your cat is that it's essentially a dog, then why don't you have a dog? Which annoys the crap out of cat people, because they're like, no, fuck you, dogs are just stupid. The rivalry between cat people and dog people is a never-ending battle of just stupidity, really. On both sides as well. Like me as a dog person, I can't even really talk because like there are definitely some arsehole dogs out there, but I love them. They're the best. Puppies are the best. Can't go wrong with a puppy. You're an animal people, so like every animal. Yeah, I get that. I'm pretty animal oriented. Like any animal is good in my books. I'm a big fan of like reptiles and birds. I quite like some insects. But there are definitely some animals that I'm like less keen on. Cats being one of them. But that might just be because I've met a lot of arsehole cats. Alright, that is 5 down. Oh, we've got a fair bit of room still on this one. It's good. I think we're going to be able to fit like 6 on here. Let's fill in this middle bit, I think, next. How much room do I have down here? I've got a fair amount of room. Alright, let's start there. What do I want to draw next? Maybe a mush friend. So we want to be on this layer. I've been seeing for my Borderlands friends out there, anybody who's interested in the Borderlands stuff, I've been seeing Tiny Tina's Wonderland, the D&D inspired Borderlands game. There is also like an actual D&D, but in Borderlands world. And that's pretty funky too. I want to check that out at some point. But there's a D&D inspired DLC for or like game. I don't know if it's its own game for Borderlands, and it looks hilarious. It's essentially like the Dungeons and Dragons world, so like all the ridiculousness of the Dungeons and Dragons world, but all the characters have guns instead of the usual fantasy weapons. I don't know, something about that just tickles me. As well, I finished Legend of Vox Machina on it's on Amazon Prime, so if you have Prime, go and check it out. If you don't, I would obviously never advocate for people just pirating things. But if that's the only way that you can reasonably get it. There we go. Move him down slightly. Merge with layer below. Cool. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. Because I know some people can't sit through the... it does kind of look like a Teletubby. I know some people can't sit through the hours and hours worth of the actual original show. So I'm mindful that introducing someone to Critical Role is a big deal. Because it is a heavy investment in time and effort. And I've almost finished the second season, the second campaign. And the TV show, the animated series, does a really good job of capturing sort of the idea of Critical Role really well. I would highly advise anybody who anybody who wants to check out Critical Role but can't invest the time or the effort into watching the podcasts or the Twitch streams or the YouTube or whatever, give the animated series a go. You won't get everything in it. There is definitely, I have noticed upon rewatching, there are definitely some things in there that aren't explained as well as they possibly could be. Not that it assumes you should know like about the characters or anything like that, but there is a lot of like Easter eggs and references and things like that, and a lot of references to like D&D lore, like old school lore that not everybody would know. So there are some bits that are going to be less exciting for you potentially than they were for me, because I got the reference. But the series itself is very good. Lizzie Bell watched it with me. She really enjoyed it, or at least said she really enjoyed it. And she hasn't watched the first season, so the first campaign. So she's coming at it with fresh eyes. So yeah, check it out if you can. I am not sponsored by them. This is just a fanboy being like, oh my god, it's the best, go and check it out. I would absolutely be sponsored by the Critical Role team, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. The closest I've gotten to being sponsored is a hug by Matthew Mercer and a Burning Man coin that he gave me. And while I'd like to count that as a sponsorship, I don't think it really does. But yeah, that's just reckon people should check it out. It's pretty good. Also, if people do check it out and it gets a lot of love, they'll make the second and third season, which will continue the first campaign, campaign 1 storyline through the Chroma Conclave, which is the dragons, which is a very interesting storyline. If you want to check that out, this only covers the Briarwood arc. You don't have Prime. Oh, well, definitely don't pirate it then. Definitely don't go to any of the piracy websites and download the series, because that would be really bad, because Amazon would lose money. The cast of Critical Role wouldn't. Titmouse, the studio that developed it, wouldn't. Who else? The animators wouldn't, because they've all been paid because it was kickstarted. So it's sort of just Amazon. But we definitely don't want them to lose money, right? But yeah, if it does well, if they make a lot of money, then we get another season. So I am encouraging people to watch it if they like that kind of thing. Why is this not doing the thing? Nope. Oh, it's on erase. There we go. There we go. I was just doing a stupid. Me, a stupid? Never. Doesn't the CEO have money out the wazoos? Yeah. Yeah, he does. Mr. Bezos, CEO of Amazon, has fuck tons of money, has stupid amounts of money. Also, potentially, there is some rumors, and these are just rumors, so I cannot say for sure because that would be slander. But there's been allegations that he potentially doesn't treat his employees very well, and that there are some poor business practices, we'll call them. But these are all just allegations. They have not been substantiated fully yet. They have not been substantiated in any sort of court of law, so I could not state for certain that that is the case. And as a employee of Amazon, as Twitch is owned by Amazon, I definitely think that, you know, they get a bad rap. So I wouldn't take it all without a grain of salt. Yeah, with my 100 followers and not that many viewers, there is very little chance that they're going to be watching this. But just in case, I'm gonna hedge my bets. Because I do actually like streaming. Oh, it's bedtime for you. All good. Have a good sleep. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up very soon. I will message the boy and see how he is traveling. But yeah, a D&D game soon would be awesome. We could do it digitally, and that would be a good way to get the ball rolling, but I'd love to come down and be able to do it in person, because I've got a whole bunch of shit. Like, all of my stuff for that game is physical. Got physical maps and minis and all sorts of stuff made up, so it would be awesome if we could do that at some point. But yeah, have a good rest. Good luck with your paper. Can set up his character in person? Yeah. I've got some character sheets already made up, so some things to go. Good night. Got some chill music going in the background. Oh, look at her being adorable. She says, "Daddy, it's bedtime. Why are we still awake? What's this about?" We've still got to get through 14, or as close to 14 images as we can. So we are going to push through and see if we can get as much as possible. There's my arm there. Ooh, look at that sexy arm. Tattoos, by the way. Check out them tattoos. These are my Pokemon tattoos along here. These ones along the bottom. And this is my Yggdrasil, my Tree of Life. And then my Spirit tattoo. That's it for tattoos on this arm. That's it. All the rest of them are on this arm over here. We've got our lovely dragon. We've got our bottle of scales. Burning Man tattoo. I've got my staff here, which is also behind me. Over here. And then my air tattoo. And then I have this lovely one, which you won't be able to see very well, but these are all Lizzie Bell's favorite. She designed this tattoo for me. These are all Lizzie Bell's favorite flowers. So there's a rose there, there's a sunflower, and then a tulip. And this is like the best tattoo on my body. All the other ones are like, they were drawn by me, or they were drawn kind of haphazardly, and like they're intentionally scratchy? Not scratchy. like, my style is not refined. I don't make very refined artworks all that often. Just because I don't, like, have... Ooh, what have I done? Put that back there. There we go. No, not that one. That one. There we go. Where was I? Yeah, I don't refine my things too heavily. And I think you could probably see that by how much effort I put into these. But, like, even my preferred style is not super refined, super clean work. So, so for my tattoos, I tried to sort of capture the same thing of, like, having them be in that same art style, obviously because I made them, and then got someone else to tattoo them on me. Some amazing artists. Shout out to Blue Lady Tattoo in Melbourne, if you ever go, or Torasumi in Balmain, Sydney. Great tattoo studios. Highly recommend. But they're all in my style, which means they're not particularly refined. And Lizzie Bell's one is just much nicer. It is refined, it's clean. The artist took her drawing and then refined it further. And it looks really good. Like, it looks really good. And I kind of like that about it. I kind of really like that. That for her artwork on me, it's this, like, beautiful, refined, clean piece, and all mine are just, like, scruffy and kind of shit. It's awesome. The Pokemon tattoos I got in the US, and the artist I got was telling me about how after I had, like, I did the walk-in and the consult and was like, yeah, like, can you do this? And they're like, yeah, we've got time right now. And she was like, oh, so she was like, yeah, come in and do it and we'll get going. And then after she had started, like, doing everything and had everything prepped out and had finished sort of, like, making the stencil and drawing everything up, and she took my pretty much exact drawings. So I had sort of rough drawn these from the official images of the badges. So they already weren't perfect, because it was in my style, obviously. But that was fine. That was kind of intentional. I wanted it to be a little rougher than the kind of nice, clean badge things that they had. But then she tells me, just as she starts, like literally starts doing the first lot of line work, and I'm asking her about, how long you've been tattooing, and she's like, like a year or two, and I'm like, oh, cool, and she's like, yeah, I'm still an apprentice, and I was like, that would have been nice to know ahead of time. I didn't say that, but I was like, you probably should have told me that before I had sat down. And then we were sort of, like, working along, and she was doing okay, but, like, I could tell the line work wasn't amazing, and it's not. But, like, that's fine. I wasn't upset about it. I was just happy I was getting the tattoo. And then I noticed a couple of blowouts, and I was like, oh, so, like, how you doing? How you feeling about the tattoo? How's everything going? Kind of thing. And I think she was a little thrown off by it, because usually, like, the tattoo artist will say that, be like, oh, are you sitting well? Is everything fine? Do you need me to do anything? Do you want me to stop? Kind of stuff. So I don't think she was expecting me to, like, basically do her job for her. But she was like, oh yeah, no, it's all good. I'm just a little, like, I got a little bit of nerve stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, then, that's fine. Like, I'm not this isn't a huge tattoo. It doesn't really matter all that much. Like, just go with whatever. And she was like, yeah, because I usually tattoo high. Like, I usually like get high on marijuana and then tattoo. But it was getting really expensive, and I figured that like I should probably stop and just, you know, get back to doing it like sober, because like that would be better for the art. And I was like, yeah, that would be much better for the art. And then I noticed at this point that like clearly she meant she had been high almost every single time she had tattooed, which means that she was basically tattooing for the first time again, and that's why she was sucking so bad. Because there's a blowout on every single one of these images. Like, I'm looking at them right now, and there is a blowout on the line work of every single one of these. One section is literally blown out like a whole side. It's great. There is some nice refined bit in here, but most of it's just messy. And I kind of love that about it. There are a lot of people who are like, oh, you know, you're going to regret your tattoos if they don't look good or whatever. Or you'll go, like, get a scratches tattoo and it's going to be shit and you're going to regret it because it looks like crap. And I'm like, yeah, but I went to an actual proper tattoo studio and had an actual proper tattooist do my tattoos, and they still look like that. And also, I love it. Like, every time I look at it, I'm like, yes, that was an experience. Like, I went to a place, did a thing against better judgment, and it turned out as well as could be expected. Which just makes me endlessly happy, honestly. Alright, next mushroom idea. We're going to start scraping the bottom of the barrel pretty quick, I think. Because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. So we've done 6 so far. We need to do 14. So I'm not even halfway done yet. And I'm already struggling to find ideas of what I want to draw. I had gotten this... Where is my webpage? There we go. I had gotten this image up. Is that going to do what I want it to do? Yeah, more or less. Okay, so I had gotten this image of like all these interesting mushrooms, as I was sort of hoping to get inspiration from them. Which is where I got the angel, the destroying angel from. But I do just like that kind of mushroom anyway. We've done enough morels, I think. I really don't know. I'm kind of stumped. Let's just fuck around then. We're just gonna do a little bunch of mushrooms. Oh, mushroom bouquet! There you go. Something would come eventually. I was sure of it. So we want to do like that. Where are we up to in this? Snooty fox. Let's go back to imaginary friends. This is the mood I'm in tonight. Don't know why, or if this is actually the mood I'm in tonight, but it just seems like the better option at the moment. This kind of lo-fi mix kind of stuff. So we'll do a couple of like rappy-do things with a little bow. Because obviously there's not going to be stems really down here, because that would be silly. So we'll do a wrap like that. And then fill in these sections, and then we're going to fill this with mushrooms, basically, is the plan. Which is looking pretty good. We're liking that. We're liking that. This should be just a little bit harsher. So, yeah, what did we talk about? The invasion of Ukraine. Invasion in quotation marks, I guess, if we want to be correct, because it's not technically an invasion yet, even though it actually is. That's kind of scary. And we're hearing a lot of conflicting reports about that kind of stuff. If you are particularly worried about that, like, I would... In the same way, if you were like super scared of COVID, like deathly scared of COVID, you should probably talk to someone, because while world wars have a chance to affect everybody, and definitely will, at the moment we're pretty sheltered. Most places. Anybody who's watching me is likely going to be fairly sheltered from much of the fallout of any kind of invasion, until things really start to kick off. Like, not much is going to happen, and unless you're like in the military, you do not need to be worried yet. So just a little reminder, like, it's good to keep a realistic perspective on these kinds of things. COVID was another good one for that. There was some people who were like quite exacerbated and almost to the point of like hysteria over COVID. Like when it first happened, I knew some people, not very well, but like they were in my circle of people I know, who were literally considering like getting a quarantine bunker put into their yard, in the same way of like bomb shelters in the Cold War. And then alternatively, there's like the conspiracy theorists who are, thinking that the entire universe is out to get them, and just that whole ridiculousness. You really gotta keep things in perspective with this kind of stuff, because it can fairly drastically affect your mental health. Noticed with my students a lot. As soon as something becomes like major news and people start talking about it, the rates of like anxiety and social issues, like significantly go up for a short period of time. And the kids who are not very good at managing that, or not very good at, like, don't have a good support network, and whether that's that they have like super overprotective parents that are fueling that fear, or if they have like neglectful parents who they don't think would support them in a crisis, like the kids don't think that they would be actively supported in a crisis. Either of those is a bad mix for young children, or even older children. And I think we don't ever really grow out of that kind of thing, of like, if we don't think our support network is particularly strong, and if we don't think that we're being looked after particularly well by society, we have a tendency to like overcompensate for things. And that's where like all of this like extremist views of things, like extremist views on the left, extremist views on the right, extremist views in the middle, all kind of stemming from the idea that people feel like there isn't a support network for them, that they feel like there isn't going to be someone there to make things right or keep them safe if you know, shit hits the fan kind of thing. Because shit doesn't really hit the fan all that often. Yes, things can go catastrophically wrong for an individual person, but most of the time, society as a whole generally does alright, bounces back pretty quick. Humans are pretty adaptable, and there is a tendency within humans to move towards normalcy, or like what has historically done or even recently done, as quickly as possible. Just go back to what you did last, is a pretty common occurrence, and we're pretty good and quick at that. So like I wouldn't stress too hard about too many of these things, but being aware and being informed is important. So obviously I'm not going to ignore the topic of conversation. But I do want to preface most of the things I'm saying with, like, you know, I'm not an expert, I don't know all the information. Lots of people don't know all the information. And there's quite a few people who are actively trying to misrepresent the information. So don't trust all the sources you read on the internet, don't trust all the sources that you see in wherever. Because, you know, half of them are lying, half of them don't know what they're talking about. And that's been proven a lot. And that's not just like, oh, mainstream media and conspiracy theories, blah, blah, blah. But like, all sides have gotten things wrong. All sides have intentionally left things out because it fuels their narrative, or like misunderstood a quote or whatever, and so ran with a particular story that was confirmation bias, which was some form of bias in favor of the narrative they wanted to run. And because it was a narrative they wanted to run, they didn't see the flaw in the logic. That's really common these days, especially with the internet being a thing, and like the speed at which information passes from one group to another. You should be aware of like how much noise and stupidity is actually in there. But yeah, also being careful to look after yourself. Like, self-care is a super important thing in that. And part of that self-care is recognizing like where things aren't real or aren't as much of a threat to you as you think they are, or aren't as much of a aren't as much of a big deal as they have been made out to be. Often in our own heads. At the start of the pandemic, I had that exact issue. And then I saw a lot of people around me having that exact issue of like, you know, it's a big deal and no one's taking it seriously, and so that's, you know, super frustrating. And also we now have to try much, much harder to like not do anything, or protect ourselves so that we then don't end up, you know, significantly harmed. And COVID is definitely an issue, and it's definitely bad, and it like all of the caveats, all of the usual things. Absolutely. But there does come a point where you then, you know, still have to go to work, still have to interact with people, still have to live your life and do all these things. And as soon as we started sort of re-engaging with that, as soon as people started re-engaging with that, generally speaking, everybody kind of calmed down again and was like, oh, actually, yeah, this isn't so bad. Like, we can manage this. And while people are still getting COVID, and that's not good, we're doing pretty good with the vaccine thing. We're doing pretty good with the, like, you know, people wearing masks, and, like, the people who aren't doing the right thing, you know, that's their choice. It's a shitty choice, but it's their choice. And yeah, it does carry a little bit of risk to us, but we're already engaging with risk ourselves, so, you know, like, let's calm down a little bit and not take everything personally, not take everything to heart, not freak out over every little thing, and hopefully we'll make it out of this alive. Yes, I intentionally did that at the end there. But yeah, the World War thing is like it's an interesting situation that we find ourselves in, and it does have some repercussions for us, some pretty wide-reaching repercussions because of the way our economy works, the way our businesses work, the fact that we are sort of a global network now of countries, because yesterday or the day before, Russia's like version of Wall Street, basically their economic options on the stock market basically all dropped. Like every single one of them dropped significantly in preparation for a lot of stuff, for sanctions and preparation for like potential conflict, and closing of the free market there and all this kind of stuff, because they were worried about what would happen, and reasonably so. But that then, you know, has a flow-on effect to us, which is not great. You know, rising prices of things, inflation, that kind of stuff. But if you're specifically worried about that, then, you know, China and America have been causing those issues for us for the last 8 months. The fluctuations in the American market due to a lack of confidence in Biden as a president has been an issue for a little while now. The issue around Chinese markets and how much control we actually have over them is has been a concern for a little while now, and that's caused some instability in markets. So those are all things that, like, if you wanted to, you could be concerned about them. But, like, even when all that, you know, goes to shit, even when the global financial crisis was a thing, back in, 2008? You know, we all bounced back. We all have done well, relatively. Individual people, not as much sometimes, but, like, as a whole, we haven't done too badly. So yeah, keep your eye on the dangerous things and keep your eye on the horizon, I guess. But then, what do I know? I'm just some crazy man. Or something. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day / night / evening / morning / whatever it is for you. If you have something you want to talk about in chat, please go or me to talk about in particular. Please do jump into chat and let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to just keep rambling away as I always do. We are currently doing Funguary, which is a drawing challenge, an art challenge. A little Ritalin. Also remember, reading Russia also having an economic crisis from 2014 to 2016, since a lot of the economic policy or economic things come from exporting oil and gas. So there's going to be sanctions against them. It's going to be interesting how the effects would be. Hi. Hello. Thanks for coming in. Here is a little bit about me, and then I will answer the. There's a spiel about me, the kind of stuff I do. Here is my Instagram, if you want to go and check out my other art that I do. We're doing Funguary at the moment. English is your second language. Never apologize for poor English. I have poor English, and I'm English. But yeah, no, super appreciate you joining in. Yes, I do believe there was an economic. I don't know if it was a full economic collapse or if it was just some instability through that period around oil and gas prices, and that shot up the oil and gas prices in America, which was a big deal. But it didn't have as much flow through to the rest of us as, I say the rest of us, to Australia, which is where I'm at. You noticed the mic in it in the thumbnail and see how to check me out? Yeah. We're doing Funguary. We're doing fungus-based artworks for the whole of February. I am very behind, so I'm catching up. Here is some that we did today. So we've got this nice little risotto. We've got an agar dish. We've got this funky little mushroom dude, and our little bouquet of mushrooms. And then we've also done this this like fairy home, a mushroom umbrella, and then some just straight angels, some angel caps. And then the week before last week, we did ink cap this funky little dude, a Valentine's Day piece, which was this mushroom being eaten by a pair of lips, and then we did Creepy Boy and the mushroom fishing. So that's where we're at. We've got to do... How many more now? That's 7. So we've got 7 more artworks to do tonight, so that I can catch up to today's date, because I am well behind. So we're gonna try and catch up. We've got 7 more artworks to do, and what's the time? 10:30. Hopefully I don't have work tomorrow, and I will just work for another couple of hours and do 7 more artworks. Let's see how we can go. So where are you from, little Ritalin? Am I saying that correctly, little Ritalin? If you don't mind sharing where you're from and what you do with yourself. Oh, what could I do for another mush artwork? I'm gonna do 7 more. Some of these are gonna get boring, I think. You're Norwegian. Cool. I have not been to Norway. I want to go. I've been to Sweden, and I have been to Iceland, but I have not been to Norway yet. So that will be on the list eventually. My plan is to visit every single country. It's a big plan, and I've got a long way to go. But it would be a nice thing one day to have visited every single country. Unfortunately, I don't think that's really going to be possible. It's kind of like Sweden, but more expensive. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we have to actually start making an artwork. So let's do someone offering some mushrooms to someone. We'll sort of edit this as we go, but that's going to be the rough Oh, I didn't do that very well. There we go. Let's fix up that thumb. And there we go. Okay, that's a little better. Yeah, cool. Norway. And what do you do with yourself, if you don't mind me asking? Are you a streamer as well, or are you just an appreciator of the streams of the Twitch? This will be like my Bucks night. We went into the city. We went to Mjolnir, which was it's a Viking themed restaurant, and we feasted and drank of mead, and it was wonderful. It was an awesome night. But we also I had brewed myself some mead. And had some mushrooms, and we all enjoyed, well, not all of us, but we enjoyed some mushrooms on the way in, and that was good fun. So this can be a picture of that. Why not? You're a bartender. Very cool. You used to stream, but because of your weird work hours, it makes it hard to stream. Mostly an enjoyer of art. Very nice. I am an ex-bartender from back in the day. So that's awesome. Appreciate that. Ex-streamer as well. Yeah, I can see the weird hours of bartending would make streaming more difficult. If you're mostly bartending, there are bars that do a lot of like day stuff, I guess. But like if you knew your schedule, you could probably work around it. But most bar work doesn't work like that. Now that I remember, now that I think on it, you sort of get given what you're given. So what sort of art do you enjoy? Obviously, you enjoy a good mushroom, so. But yeah, so to finish that story, we were drinking fairly heavily, and I had specifically brewed us some mead and procured us some mushrooms, and we had them before we went into Mjolnir, and then we feasted and reveled and caused all sorts of trouble. We managed not to get kicked out of anywhere, which is very impressive for me because I've been kicked out of a lot of places. Being an ex-bartender, I know exactly how to piss off everyone, basically. But yeah, we had a very good time. Happy days. And then I got married to my beautiful wife, who is most wonderful. Definitely not a swarm of bees. You enjoy most types of art. Big fan of dark fantasy and dystopian surrealist. Cool. Trying to think of some good dystopian surrealist artists. What's her name? There's a pop surrealist who does that kind of dark dystopian stuff, but it's mostly cartoon based. Camille Rose something. I'm gonna have to Google it now. Camille Rose Garcia. Yeah. This is her. She does these, like, creepy stories and cartoons, and they're very good. Yes, I do know. I could not pronounce that, no. Beksinski? But yes, I have definitely seen these works before, and they are awesome. Who's the artist who does the Ironclad works? Ironclad. Walker. Farm. Artwork. I don't remember it off the top of my head, unfortunately. I'd have to look it up at some point. But there's an artist that takes like agrarian backdrops, like farm villages and stuff. And thank you for the follow, much appreciated. Yeah, they make they take these kind of like agrarian backdrops, or like very simple backdrops of like standard landscape artworks, and then they put in like mechanical walkers and very sort of diesel steampunk-esque stuff. It's I think it's the inspiration for Scythe, the board game. I don't know if they use that particular artist's artworks for the game, but yeah, very interesting. Very interesting art. I like their work a lot. There is my Instagram. Perfect timing. Show off my own shit. I'm usually a traditional artist. I do work more in traditional art than I do in anything else. I'm working in digital art at the moment because it's a little easier to get a lot of works done in a short amount of time. And I also have a couple of commissions coming up that require me to have practiced a little more with my digital art. So that's why we're working in this medium a little more recently. But my tattoo stuff is up there. I do tattoo work. There is also just my regular drawings. There's my stuff from Drawtober, which was last year's art prompt that I did. And then the new stuff from Funguary, which is pretty cute. So feel free to check that out. Anybody who is watching. Alright. If we define these a little better. Oh, no, too small. There we go. Give me a follow when your phone's done charging. All good, all good. Thank you, I appreciate it. So do you do any art yourself? Are you an artist or just an appreciator? I have drawn all of this on the wrong layer. Must be tired. Alright. There we go. Problem solved. Not really, but you and your partner do some drawing challenges from time to time. Draw shapes and stuff with a 5-minute timer. Swap and continue drawing the other person has made. Ooh, that's fun. Yeah, that's cool. There's a couple of like online programs that have a similar sort of thing where like you can bring a couple of people in and they'll you know, one person draws a thing and then the next person has to like finish the drawing. So they'll like start a section of the drawing and then you have to finish it. But yeah, that's a cool idea. I like that. My partner wants to get into doing some more art. She's more the writer of the family, and I am the sort of general artist. I do a little bit of everything, but yeah, I'm more of the illustrator, and so she wants to pick it back up and practice a little bit more. So we've been trying to push to find some time for that. But that's a great idea. We might actually do that little activity together because that would help a lot, I think. Gartic Phone, yes, that is definitely one of them. There's a few out there, but Gartic Phone is the one that's people are using the most at the moment, which is cool. We had some quite ridiculous fun with that recently. We do Friday drinks on Discord usually with our friends. Their Discord, yeah, lets you creatively flow for sure. There is the Discord if you would like to join. It is a Discord for all of our little stream community. So it's not just my stuff. It is lots of people's things, and we do little events and art stuff together. There's a whole section where you can share your artworks. We also do drinking nights on Fridays, which anybody is welcome to join. Yeah, just a fair warning. It's not just mine. So there are other people there, and we can't always control what they say or do. So just a fair warning. But if that's something you're interested in, feel free to join. But yeah, we've done a couple of Gartic Phone evenings where we've spent a Friday night drinking and playing Gartic Phone, and that was good fun. We'll definitely do that again. Yeah, might be a little early for you. Yes, most welcome to join. I think this Friday is probably not going to be a drinking night. Unfortunately, myself, Lizzie Bell are busy, so we may not be available for that, unfortunately. But most Fridays we're doing something. So if that's your jam, feel free to join us. None of us would judge you for drinking in the mornings. Quite a few of us are alcoholics. But yeah, totally understand that that early morning drinking is not for everybody. Trying to moderate your drinking a little more after starting a bar job? Yeah. Yeah, that's a thing. I noticed while I was working in the bar, I drank a lot. My constitution has always been quite high, so I've been able to drink a lot, and it not be too much of an issue. But what that meant was that I was then drinking a lot. Rather than having one or two drinks and then, being like, well, that's fine, I've had a couple of drinks and I'm happy. I would very regularly have 10 to 20 drinks in a night when I'm trying to get drunk. And then still at the end of that night be like, oh, I could still have more. I'm not that drunk yet. And so that was a bit of an issue for me. It was expensive, for one, because we didn't get free drinks. We got discounted drinks, but not free drinks. When, like, in all the pubs that were, like, linked to the bar that we were working in. And then on top of that, like, the day after, I was always a write-off. I couldn't, basically couldn't do anything the next day because my body was recovering. And not like hangover or anything, but just like I felt super lethargic because I had so much alcohol. I would regularly on a drinking night have like 20 plus drinks if I was trying to get drunk. On the nights where I got really drunk, it would be like 30 plus, which is a stupid amount of alcohol. That's way too much for any person. But that's sort of how much I would have. And then the whole next day I would basically just like sleep. Because my body couldn't process it fast enough. And then I would get up and go and work in the bar again. Or I would get up and, do like basically nothing. And then the next night do it all again. And it was not particularly healthy. What was I drinking since I could drink that much? I was drinking vodka and Coke, mostly. Or just shots of spirits. Yeah, my mother is English and Scottish, and my dad is English and Irish. And I got a little bit of Welsh in there. So drinking is in my genes. I can drink with the best of them, which is not a good thing, because it means I drink way too much. But yeah, we'd on my own, I would be going through a whole bottle of vodka each night. And then I have the Aussie drinking culture. Yeah, exactly. So I was doomed from the start. I'm actually pretty lucky. I started drinking properly quite late. I have friends who started drinking like heavily when they were, 13, 14 years old. I didn't start my heavy drinking until I was like 16, 17. And even then it was fairly occasional. It wasn't until like my early to mid 20s that I started really drinking heavily. And it started becoming a problem. So I count myself lucky in that regard. But yeah, it definitely wasn't a healthy lifestyle. You partied with some Aussies when you were in Japan a couple of years ago, so you know how much yeah. Well, I actually have a Japan story. I went to Japan with a couple of my American friends, who I met in the UK, actually. I've done a fair bit of traveling. And while we were there on the first night, we were like, oh, what do we want to do? So we went to this... we were looking for restaurants in Tokyo. And there was a guy standing outside on the street. And we were just looking for like any nice place to have food. We weren't looking for anything in particular. And he was kind of doing the spruiking thing of like, hey, come in, you guys are, authentic Japanese, you'll love it, blah, blah, blah. And we were kind of like, we could tell he was just spruiking to us because we were tourists. So we knew it was going to be more expensive, and we were like, it's fine. We weren't really interested. And then he said, he said, you pay for food, but it's all you can drink. And as soon as he said that, I was like, here we go. And so we went upstairs to this like little, it wasn't that little given some of the other places in Japan, but like little-ish restaurant. And the deal was like, you pay for a few share meals together. And then they'll bring you like, alcohol for while you're staying there. And the idea is that you kind of eat and drink for a little while and then you leave, and it doesn't last too long. Yeah, you already see where the story's going. So we start ordering food, and we're just ordering little bits here and there, little starters, and then like a couple of sort of slightly larger dishes between us. And there's 4 of us there, and then we start to order alcohol. And so we're like, okay, I'll have a sake, a bottle of sake, and then a bottle of soju mixer, and then like soju with mixer, like a pre-made cocktail. And then I'll have a vodka, and if you've got any Coke, I'll have it with that. Otherwise, I'll just have it like on the rocks. And then a whiskey, if you've got any nice whiskey, we'll have a whiskey as well. And he was like, okay, good. And then I was like, okay, what does everybody else want? And then I could see his face just go blank. And he was like, what? And then asked for someone to come and translate. Because he had just taken this huge order. And was like, no, that's the drinks. And I was like, no, those are my drinks. And then like she's gonna have drinks, and then he's gonna have drinks, and she's gonna have drinks. So like you've got to take the rest of the orders. And he was very unhappy. Took the orders though, so we ended up having like quite a few drinks between us. And we sat and ate and drank. And that was great. And then after we'd finished the first round of drinks and the first bit of food, we then tried to order more food and more drinks, and so we were like trying to get the attention of the waiter that had served us first, and he was completely not making eye contact. He was like looking the other side of the room, and then one of the other people who'd just come in, this Japanese woman, who'd clearly only just started because she was like still like getting dressed in her uniform and stuff, and so she kind of makes eye contact with the table, and I like wave her over, and she starts coming over, and the other guy notices and then starts to try and stop her, but then she's already too far, and she makes it to the table, and then we're like, oh yeah, we want some more food, and so she's all happy about that. We order another round of food, like not a lot of stuff, but just a little bit. And then we start ordering more drinks, and we do the exact same thing of like, I order a big thing and she expects it to be for everybody. And then I'm like, okay, next person. And so we did that. And apparently they had to go downstairs to this other restaurant that wasn't theirs, like wasn't affiliated with them, to buy more alcohol off them because we had basically run them dry. And then at that point, the owner came in and started yelling at us in Japanese. And one of my friends who was there, who could speak Japanese, was like was translating for us. And he was basically telling us like, "You fucking tourists, how dare you come here and drink like so much? You're a disgrace," and this and that. Oh, it was so good. And then he's like, "Where are you from? Who are you? Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm Australian." And he's like, "That's it. No Australians in this restaurant ever again." And we went back the next day. So then we left, obviously, because they were unhappy with us. We went back the next day, and there was a sign that said, "No Australian," out the front. Oh, it was so good. But yeah, that's the Australian drinking culture. Causing trouble anywhere we go. Alright, we now have 6, 7, 8, 9 images done. So we've got 5 to go. We're doing well. We're making good time. Imagine being the reasons why Australians are not allowed in a restaurant anymore. Yeah, it is a great achievement for life. I feel very proud about it. Occasionally I do feel bad for the restaurant owner, because clearly he wasn't expecting an Australian to come in and exploit the system. But yeah, we did a good job. Oh. Alright, let's just save this while we're at it. Oh, Japan is definitely a popular travel location for Australians. But it's less so than like Indonesia and so around the other Asian countries there is a much better exchange rate of the Australian dollar, and so Australians tend to go to the cheaper countries because it's easier for them to get more for their dollar. So there's a huge issue, really, of Australians going to like Thailand and Bali and Indonesia and Vietnam, things like that. You met more Aussies when you were in Bali than locals? Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure they were all drunk and obnoxious. So Japan being slightly more expensive, the exchange rate is a little closer. There's not as many Australians who go there just to drink heavily, which is what a lot of our tourism is. So we don't get as much going there, which is kind of a good thing, because I think the Japanese probably don't deserve that. But yeah, they really should have seen it coming, because it's not like we hide our alcoholism. It is a pretty significant part of our culture, which in itself is a bad thing. I think our drinking culture causes more problems for us than anything it provides in terms of actual cultural interest. But it makes us great people to party with. But yeah, there's a lot of issues with lacking of moderation amongst Australians, particularly Australian youths. We have a lot of social programs around getting young Australians to not drink as much and to not do drugs and not party as much because it's bad for their health and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Well, alcohol's a big part of most cultures. There are very few cultures that don't have some form of alcohol history. Trying to think off the top of my head. I know Indigenous American and First Nations don't have much or any alcohol production as part of their culture. Definitely was through Europe. Definitely was up in the Scandinavian areas. Definitely France, Spain. Definitely the UK. Definitely Russia. all of the Eastern Bloc. It's pretty big on that. South America is pretty big on beers and ales. Mezcal, various spirits in Mexico. Asia has a lot of native spirits and native sake and rice wines and grain spirits and things like that. Yeah, there's very few that don't, actually, now that I sort of think about it. Who else? Yeah, there is definitely any kind of society has an aspect of mind-altering substance. Because a lot of societies start out as animist, that is worshipping nature and things like that, and spirits and all these sorts of things, very sort of pagan traditions. Mind-altering is a way of engaging with those spirits or nature or tradition. It's usually done through either alcohol or some kind of other substance, whether that's tobacco or mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms, or like an ayahuasca, tea, brew. Not always a psychedelic, but very often a psychedelic. Or something taken in enough quantities to become a psychedelic. So alcohol taken in enough quantities can become a form, not quite a psychedelic, but a form of mind-altering drug. How's the art coming along? It is coming along very well. We've done a whole bunch. We've done these 3 here. We've done these 6 here, which are very cool. These 3. So we have the little umbrella, we have the angel cap, we have a little mushroom house for a fairy, we have the risotto, we have this little agar dish, a growth medium, we have this little mush boy, we have a bouquet of mushes, we have the Bucks Knight, we have this this eldritch horror, surrealist horror, and now we're on a little fungi owl. We were just talking about alcoholism in society and substance, the prevalence of substances in early civilizations. There is suggestion from quite a lot of early sociologists, like historical sociologists, who have suggested that a lot of our early development, like mental brain development, and a lot of the reason why we have, consciousness is due to our interaction with psychedelic substances. That the mind-altering substances that we interacted with actually helped to build the consciousness we now have. And that early hominids imbibed of these mind-altering substances as a way of further expanding their ideas about the universe. And in doing so, basically formed the basis of how our societies run. Because the early brain was shocked, as in physically shocked, by the chemical activity that it evolved to deal with it, and in forming those changes, those evolutionary changes, that we gained sentience, we gained a form of consciousness above and beyond what animal consciousnesses appear to be. And that is the basis for how most of our faith forms, most of our religions form. That our understanding of nature and the world around us is based on that psychedelic experience that shaped our mind, our early minds. This is still under debate by a lot of people, so it's not accepted as fact at the moment. But there are some fairly strong cases for it. And a lot of early religions, so early Christianity, early pagan societies, have evidence of psychedelic use of psychedelics pretty heavily in ritual or in formation of the early doctrine, scripture, and ideas. So many mushroom delights, absolutely. And how are you doing? You see a thieving? This is lovely Cognitive Bard in the chat there. He's one of the fellow streamers from our little community, our little chaos crew, blue crew, art crew. I don't know. We'll figure a name out eventually. But yeah, we do Sea of Thieves streams together and Pokemon streams together. He and I. Which is awesome. Lots of fun. You drank hot chocolate with 1.5 grams of hash in it on Monday, and you definitely felt you met God. You still feel tired. Yeah, fair. I have some hash brownies somewhere that I haven't imbibed yet. I'll have to give that a go at some point. Obviously, drugs are bad, McKay. But yeah, engaging in that kind of stuff can be considered self-care. It is a way of expanding the consciousness and a way of engaging with aspects of yourself that need engaging with. So yeah, all for that. Just remember, marijuana stays in your bloodstream for up to 3 days, unless you are a regular user, and then it can be anything up to a month. So if you're worried about getting drug tested, keep that in mind. There is nothing that can speed up that process of your body getting rid of those cannabinoids. So if you're worried about getting tested, 3 days for a non-user or a non-regular user, and for a regular user, that is multiple times a week or every week, then you are looking at a month. And you should be a little more careful. Also, I do not advocate or condone drug taking. Clearly, it's very bad. You shouldn't do it. Something. Legal notice. You've been making art yourself, and then I was doing Photoshop project for someone whose mother passed away. Oh, now you're taking a break and playing Sea of Thieves. Oh, very good. You'll have to send me through some of the stuff you've been working on. I was appreciating the updates this afternoon. It was very good. Enjoy your Sea of Thievesing. I hope you do well and gain a lot. You haven't smoked or eaten since November, and even then, it's usually top 0.5 grams. So that was a mistake, but interesting, yeah. Well, yeah, sometimes you have to take a heroic dose. Sometimes you just have to take too much of something and see how it goes. So I went to Burning Man in 2018, and I was given a gift while I was there. Of some LSD, and I was not told how much was in it. I was not told it was a single tab, and I was like, awesome. If it's a single tab, that's fine. I can manage that. And so, went and did my thing. Turns out, I found out the next day, and after having taken it, from my own personal experience with it, the guy who had made it was like, oh yeah, I don't want to have to risk taking in too much at once to this event. So rather than just taking more in and being careful with it, he condensed the amount and just put 4 times as much in each tab. So I was essentially taking 4 doses at once, rather than the one I thought I was taking. And whoa boy, did I have an experience. I'm pretty sure I was not alive for a period of time there. Because I was definitely having a seizure. And lost consciousness and probably wasn't breathing, and I think my heart wasn't going for a minute, but I was exceedingly high at the time, so I don't actually know if that was real or not. But yeah, I saw the cosmos, and good times were had. It was terrifying, I'm not sure that I would do that much again, ever. But it was definitely an experience, and I don't think I would take it back. I try not to live with regret. I think if something happens, then it's not that it's like destined to happen, but if it happens, it's meant to happen, in a kind of roundabout way. So that happened, and I'm comfortable with it now, for a very long period of time, actually. Kind of too long, really. I was slightly worried that reality wasn't real, and that I was just going to wake up and be back where I was. So for a year, I wasn't sure whether or not I was still tripping, or if it was actually reality. And I couldn't convince myself for like a full year that like things were actually happening. So that was special. But we're past all that now. Everything's good. But yeah, when you take so many drugs that you question the nature of reality, to the point where you're not sure if you're actually still in reality, that's a good trip. And by that I mean terrifying. Yes, it was a grand adventure. At the same time, I slayed a dragon, so like on that same trip. So yeah, good times. I do have a little spiel in my About Me section down there, about the ridiculous adventures that we go on. Everybody is invited if they wish to come and join. We have a ridiculous cult that you can join if you want to. That's more just kind of for fun. And then I have my more serious adventuring stuff, adventuring party. And we do all sorts of good and fun things there. If you are interested at some point, we can go over that kind of stuff. You haven't really done anything stronger than hash, but shrooms are on your bucket list. That's fair. Shrooms are a good one. I think if you're going to take a psychedelic, mushrooms aren't a bad way to go, because most of the time it's fairly mild. There is the issue about like stomach aches and you know, some people throw up on it, which is not a pleasant experience, and I entirely understand that. So I understand why some people are hesitant. But it's a much milder trip, so it's not something that you have to worry about being too anxious on. If you have not the strongest mental state, you probably shouldn't be doing psychedelic drugs in the first place. But you're better off doing something calm and simple like mushrooms, because it doesn't really blow you out of reality in the same way that like DMT or ayahuasca or MDMA or those kinds of things. It doesn't really throw you out of reality in the same way, or acid. So it's kind of calmer on everything, and things work a little bit better. You're not gonna fucking lose your whole mind about it, which is good, because for some people that is an issue. But then it's all about like dosage and understanding, you know, set and setting and looking after yourself and making sure you're in the mindset to do it and all that kind of stuff. There's an aspect of being a cosmonaut, of being a psychedelic enthusiast, that does require a bit of pre-planning. But it's not too difficult to do. Anybody can do it. Almost anybody can do it. A schizophrenic obviously shouldn't, or anybody with a family of schizophrenia should not. Yeah, it's not a terribly difficult or dangerous thing to do, I don't believe, as long as you prepare yourself properly. Growing up with a parent working at rehab, you kind of hear a lot of the horror stories. Yeah, acid is special like that. Yeah, quite a bit of it is scare tactics, but then also a lot of it is just the kind of people that end up in horror situations are the kind of people who weren't introduced to it properly. In the same way that, like, you can have horror stories of alcohol, and, like, as long as you are not drinking excessively, as long as you are in the right place in the right time, alcohol is perfectly safe. But alcohol is also very dangerous if you're in the wrong situation. If you drink alcohol and then drive a car, it's super dangerous. If you take acid and then, are around people who don't know what acid is like, or, if you've never taken acid before and then are in a situation that you don't feel comfortable in, and is also a particularly dangerous situation, as in has a lot of, sharp implements around, or has an environment that's overstimulating, you can end up in a lot of trouble. That's the same with any drug. You need to know how to take it. You need to know what the proper environment should be for it, and you need to kind of adhere to that as closely as possible. Not everybody can do that, obviously, and not everybody learns what that proper, setting and environment is, and so you end up with horror stories. You end up with people who take it and lose their mind, or stab their best friend, or jump out of a 12-story building or whatever. That does happen, so you need to be careful. You need to be aware. Mushrooms, luckily, are pretty chill. A lot of people who are looking for, like, a mild experience, but, like, a spiritual or religious experience will take mushrooms, or they'll take, like, peyote, cactus, which is a good one. Alternatively, if you want a religious experience, as in you want to be blown out of your mind and see God, then the harsher chemical-based, everything's chemicals, but the ones that are synthetic, so DMT, LSD, MDMA, for example, are all harsher. You can take them in smaller doses and they do less, and they're a little bit easier to manage, but the intended purpose of them is basically blow your mind out. But yeah, set and setting is the trick. Set and setting. So I'm assuming if you have mushrooms on your bucket list that you already know about set and setting and you're all good. If not, I can explain that to you. What is playing right now? This is not on my playlist. Weird. Well, let's start again from here. Has this turned back on autoplay? Nope. There we go. That has turned that off. Wonderful. Don't want to autoplay similar songs because I'll end up getting my stream fucking cocked out because anyway. You've done some research already and your partner has some experiences with it. Perfect. Well, you're good then. No worries. Yeah, I usually ask because that kind of, you know, the scare tactic is pretty much the default for most places, especially in America. As long as you don't do crocodile, you'll be fine. Yeah. There's some drugs I would never try. There are definitely some drugs I would never try. Crocodile is up there. Meth is also up there. I know meth gets a bad rap, but, like, I'm happy for it to have a bad rap. Because, oh boy. Yeah, it does a number on some people. I'm not sold on heroin as a thing. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be, but, like, I'm still kind of cagey about it. I think psychedelics is usually fine for me. Like, I'm fine with psychedelics as a concept. No issue there. Cocaine, depends what it's mixed with. If you've got it. Oh, you're my favorite drug too, buddy. You're adorable. Yeah. Like, as long as it's pure, cocaine is fine. The problem is that most of it's never pure, so there's that. Meth, crocodile, heroin, they're your biggest no-goes? Yeah, that's fair. That is a reasonable line to draw. I don't think many people would disagree with you there. I'm still on the fence about heroin. I've never tried it, so you know, there's my caveat to that. But yeah, I'd consider it maybe. It'd have to be from someone I really know really well, because there's no way I'm just picking it up forever. You're pure. You're adorable, buddy. Jenkum sounds like a weird experience. Jenkum, back in the day. So I found out about Jenkum on the internet. Way back in the early days. And I met someone who actually tried it. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? How did you hear that was a thing and go, yeah, I could give that a try? Like, there is the nutmeg, the banana skin, the, like, you can buy psychotropic cactuses from, like, most nurseries, and they're perfectly you got an ad so you can't hear the story. Alright, I'll wait. Oh dear. Let me know when the ad finishes. Alright. What do we want to do here? I think we just do a little mush boy. You back? Perfect. All right. So I have no idea. I had heard of Jenkem as a thing, and I met a guy who'd done it. I had no idea why you would do that, because there are so many better options. You can. There's the whole like nutmeg thing, which is actually dangerous, but you know. There's that. You got a clip for me? All right. I'll check my DMs. Yeah, so you can do the nutmeg thing, the banana peel baking that doesn't actually work all that well, but that's a thing. You can literally go to most nurseries, like most hardware store nurseries, and buy various like psychotropic cactuses, which you can then prepare and make like a decent drug out of. You can also brew your own alcohol very, very easily. It's not difficult at all. But people still decide that Jenkem is a possible solution to the I don't have drugs problem. If you don't know what Jenkem is, people in the chat, or people listening, Jenkem is where you shit into a bottle and then you put a balloon over the top of it and you literally ferment your own shit. Then you take the gases, mostly methane at this point, but some various other gases, and you huff that. And then it's supposed to make you high. I don't know why anybody would do this. I have a feeling that it probably started as a joke to get someone to do something gross and disgusting. But it's just insane. And so there was... So I met this guy who did it and was like... He ended up with pink eye. He had a throat and nose infection. He got an ear infection on one side. All of this because of the fecal matter that had just been fucking snorted into his sinuses. Apparently did get high, so apparently it works. But then like felt like shit for like 3 weeks afterwards. And had to have like antibiotics and all this stuff because he'd literally overwhelmed his system with like bacteria and just awfulness. I don't know why anybody would voluntarily do that to themselves, unless they had just the weirdest fetish. And if they do, get a better fetish because it's just so bad. Ugh. Humans are the worst. Humans are a mistake. You remember watching the show 1,000 Ways to Die, and there was this biker dude who went into a public toilet and overdosed on it. Oh. It's really popular with the kids in Zambia. I did not know that. Or Tia Bum. There's my beautiful Tia. My little daughter puppy. She's tired. She's telling me to go to bed. She's like, it's bedtime. But I still have artworks to do. So, where are we at? We've done 3, 9, 10, 11, and I guess we'll count this tiny one as 12. So I need to do 2 more. We might do 3 more. Because I'm not sure we'll count that little tiny one, but I think it's adorable, so... Alright. Let's keep going. 3 more. We can fit 3 more in here. Easy. Yeah, Jenkem. What the fuck? I don't understand why someone would come up with that as an option. There are so many better psychedelic things you could do. Fuck. What do I do? While I'm here, I'm gonna zoom back into these ones, and I'll while I'm thinking, I'm gonna check my my DMs. Reminds you of the South Park episode where you sniff cat piss? Well, yeah, that's also a thing. You can get high off, and you definitely shouldn't, but you can get high off, what's it called? There's like the pheromones in cat piss, but also there's like parasites or something in it. And it apparently fucks your brain up real good. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but that's a thing. Alright, let's see. I'm gonna turn off desktop audio just for a second, because it's a clip of me. Actually, no, fuck it. We'll just listen to it. Meth, crocodile, heroin, they're your biggest no-goes? Yeah. That's good. Thanks for the clip. I appreciate it. Some of the things I say on here, I really hope someone doesn't clip. And then other things, I'm like, yeah, go ahead. What could possibly go wrong? Which I probably shouldn't have that attitude, because... for those that don't know, I am a high school teacher. I am an adult. I'm an educator who is supposed to be looking after the young minds. Some of the things I say probably shouldn't be repeated in front of them. Oh, I'm terrible. Alright. I think we're gonna do like a cutesy little mushroom folk. No, it's funny. I like it. I'm on board. See, the problem with it is I think there's a lot of pearl clutching around drugs. And I understand that, like, you know, if you explain it in a reasonable way, then potentially you're encouraging people who are on the fence to do it. That makes sense as a concept to me, but at the same time, there is an element of it's better if we actually educate people about these things and about A, the dangers, and then B, how to do it safely. So if they're already going to do it, or if they're considering doing it, then they can do it safely in a way that's not going to, you know, seriously harm them. And so I would much rather just like have a conversation with students, like an honest conversation with students about like, yeah, I've done drugs before, and this is what you would need to know if you are ever going to do drugs. I don't want you to do drugs right now. I think it's a terrible idea for you to do drugs right now. But when you're 22 and your brain is finally fully formed and you want to try it and you're a knowledgeable, consenting adult, then fuck it. Why not? But unfortunately, that's not how we treat kids. So... we can't do that. But I'd love to be able to, like, talk about set and setting with kids. I'd love to talk about, like, the dangers of certain drugs versus the dangers of other drugs. Parasites mess with your brain, makes you less scared of cats. It's one of their hunting tactics, reasons why we have domesticated them. Yes, kind of. There is a parasite in there that's actually for rats. It's supposed to make rats attracted to the scent of cat urine, to basically promote the breeding of these parasites, and it affects humans in a very similar way. I don't believe it was intentional, as in on the cat's part. But yeah, it is one of the reasons why we ended up domesticating cats, because we got infected with these parasites and thought they, you know, were cute. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it makes rats sexually aroused around cat urine, and so they then start following cats around and end up getting eaten. The parasites then breed in the intestinal tract of the cat, and the cycle begins all over again. Which, you know, fucking terrifying. They should do it in the way we have sex ed. If we can't stop them from doing it, at least show them how to do it safely. Yeah, and there is a bit of that. Like, so in Australia, we do have sex ed. It's not perfect, but it's decent. It's much better than America, and it does teach sex education properly. But because it's a little bit more up to the school about how they present it, some people don't end up with great sex ed, mainly for religious reasons, because the teacher who's doing it is religious and they don't agree with the teaching or whatever, and that's kind of fucked. But there is a big push away from the drug conversation, which is almost worse because of the culture we have around like drugs and alcohol and things like that. We're getting better with it. We have been pushing for... This just looks like an alien. I was going for cute, and now it just fucking looks terrifying. Yeah, we do have the ability to have those kinds of conversations, but they tend not to happen, mainly because the kinds of people who like get into teaching don't want to lose their jobs from parents, and the parents are the kinds of people who are like, well, if you tell them about it, then they'll just go and fucking do it, which is not necessarily true, but like, it also comes from like a lack of experience themselves. They have not experienced a conversation about drugs that isn't just, well, either you do it or you don't. They haven't really experienced a nuanced kind of discussion about these things, and that's what we need. We need someone who has experienced at least enough of the drugs to be able to be like, yeah, look, these aren't going to kill you instantaneously, but they could severely damage your life if you don't do them properly. And I am not advocating for you to do them. I am advocating for you to understand how they work so that in future, if you ever do encounter them and for whatever reason decide that you are going to take them, then you at least know how to do it safely. I would advocate and appreciate something like that. I don't think it's ever really going to happen, but, you know, I can hope. I don't know what this thing is. I'm kind of creeped out by it a little, but... Yeah, we've got Happy Healthy Harold, which is a talking giraffe that comes around and teaches us about body health, sex ed, drugs, all those sorts of things. He's a national treasure, and I would appreciate if Happy Healthy Harold also had like his drug safety message that wasn't just abstinence, in the same vein of like sex ed, like not just abstinence only, but also here's a condom, here's how it works, here's why you know, wear a condom, or why you know, are careful about who you have sexual relations with, and not in a like fucking everybody's broken after they have sex because you're a precious flower and blah 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 blah, but like an understanding that, like, yeah, the more you have sex, the more likely you are to encounter a STI on statistics. But also, you can get tested for STIs, and you should do so regularly if you are engaged in sexual activity. Regardless of if you are with the one same partner, you should probably get tested occasionally, because they might be lying to you. Or, alternatively, like, there are other ways to pick up these same diseases that aren't sex-based. You can get various types of, like, herpes and viruses and genital things from, very rarely, but, like, from interaction with other people just physically. It doesn't have to be sex-based. And it's worth being aware of that, like, if you aren't checking regularly, but you are sexually active, you could be giving someone else a sexually transmitted disease and not even realize it. You're not an asshole for that, but, like, you should take some responsibility for, like, knowing you have it and trying to do something about that. Also, most sexually transmitted diseases these days are treatable. Some of them are preventable, some of them are curable, some of them are manageable, etc, etc, etc. But if we had a conversation about that, about drugs in that same vein, there would be a lot of people who are very unhappy, I think. Because that is a conversation that then would talk about how you do drugs. And that would make some people very uncomfortable, because there are some people who are very anti-drug. And rightfully so, like, they've got their reasons. Quite a few of their reasons are probably quite misinformed, but, you know, you can't help that, necessarily. This thing is creepy. I am less and less comfortable with it being on the screen. And I made it. Two more artworks, and then we can finish up. It's almost 12 midnight. We'll hydrate. Tia is asleep there. Oh, big size. Big size on that Tia cam. Dabble in D&D, yes we do. Myself and Cognitive Bard, along with Lizzie Bell, Experimenter, and Bluebird, all run a D&D campaign. There are videos of it, well, of the recap, not of the game itself, online. I am also planning on running some campaigns on Twitch, so I will be streaming some campaigns at some point. I just need to actually organize that and get people to agree to have themselves be recorded on the internet forever. And I also do in-game physical sessions. I DM a lot, but I also play characters as well in other people's campaigns. Cognitive Bard's campaign, he is the DM currently. And then when we get into another section of the same world, I take over DMing in my little area. So we do a little bit of everything. Are you a D&D fan, little Ritalin? Do you have a preference, by the way? I haven't asked you yet. If you have a preference of name, do you have a name you would prefer I call you, or is Little Ritalin fine by you? Yeah, so I've got a campaign that I have. We homebrew a lot of our campaigns, so we use homebrew worlds. We use some homebrew content. We try and keep a fair amount of the mechanical stuff as standard D&D, but you mostly DM, but you play as a player for time to time. Ritalin is just fine as well. Little Ritalin can be a mouthful sometimes. Yeah, it can. Which is, I was just thinking exactly that. So, awesome. Yeah, Ritalin, cool. So you DM, cool. Do you play homebrew stuff, or do you play, like, standard? Do you play in your own world? Do you play in the campaign settings? I know Cognitive Bard has played Curse of Strahd. I have played through... what's the heist one called in Waterdeep? Oh, I always forget the name of it. I played through that briefly. We didn't finish, but we played through some of that. And then I've done a lot of homebrew campaign stuff. Yeah, I have my own little world that we play in, and then we've got a world that Cognitive Bard and myself GM in, so we do some stuff there. Homebrew campaigns, you keep the 5e rule set. Currently making a new campaign now for your players. Awesome, that is very cool. I'd love to hear some of the stuff about it if you ever get the chance, or if you want to tell me now. Yeah, that's very cool. We're big fans of D&D. We like all the roleplay and all those sorts of interesting things that happen. Good storytelling. And we've got a few different sorts of players as well. We've got people who are interested in different sorts of things from their worlds, which is fun. So it never gets boring, which is nice. We do clash heads a few times. We've got different play styles, and because we use a lot of homebrew content as well, things get messy and confusing at times. But we try and stick to things that are balanced in the 5e world, because that's what we run. Oh, we've got a redemption for the Numerous Order. Ladies and gentlemen, do you like numbers? Do you like the random number generator? Do you like gambling and probability and maths? Well, have I got the god for you. Join the cult of RNGesus, the Numerous Order. All it takes is a D20, and you could be joining us today. The first trial is to roll a natural 20 on a D20 on your first try. Each day you can try again if you would like to join the trials. We do have a redemption for rolling dice. I can roll a dice on the screen at any point in time if you so wish, and you can join the numerous order today. You think our playstyles are too similar and that's the problem? Potentially a little bit. Yours is a little bit more chance-based, and mine is a little bit more... like, I have a story arc, and I pretty much just, like, set it up and let it run. And if you interact with it, you interact with it. If you don't, then you don't, and that's fine. And then it's a bit of, like, improvisation here and there, but most of it's pretty well done. Whereas yours is kind of dice-heavy at times. But yeah, I can see what you mean. There are similarities. There are definitely, like, long story arcs. There's definitely major beats. There's things that are happening that the players don't interact with or don't see necessarily happening. You wanted to do something a bit different, so the cultures for the different countries, regions, are based on classes and not races. That's cool. I like that. So rather than being racial area makeup, it's all about like social groups, communities. So all the clerics live together and all the paladins live together and all the... That's interesting. Interesting to see how that develops as an idea. I like the concept. I'm not sure I would have that be my entire setting, but I really like the idea of, like, enclaves and cities based around class cultures. Or castes. I really like the idea of, like, city castes. So you have, like, druids druids as a certain group in the city that are, like, revered for their druidic abilities, but they only really hang out with themselves, so they don't interact with the rest of the community. But it doesn't matter what your race is, as long as you're a druid, you're accepted in that community. I've got a little bit of that in some of my games, but, like, having whole cities devoted to that would be a really interesting idea. Ooh, now I'm gonna have to, like, steal some ideas here. All the cities and towns are based on the cultures of their classes. So, wizards, sorcerers, and artificers share a city. Artificers make warforges to do the manual labor. Wizards and sorcerers focus on their studies. That's cool. Interesting. So my curiosity then would be, one, how did the other races kind of come to be then? If they've not been separated, unless this is kind of a new occurrence, potentially. Why other races would exist if they haven't been separated, but been separated basically by class? In terms of, like, a continuity thing. And then the other question I would have would be, like, how could that wizard town, for example, the magic town, how could they justify not having druids there? You got an ad. All good. So my curiosity would be within that idea why the other races came to be if they weren't separated at some point. So, like, the difference between an elf and a dwarf and a human, why do those different races exist if they have never been separated to begin with to evolve in different ways? The answer could be gods, and that's fine, but, like, is that the idea? And then the second question I have is how the different places, the different communities, could justify not having the other classes around. So, like, in that wizard town, for example, with the sorcerers and the artificers, how could they justify not having... Oh, thank you, Cog, for gifting that subscription to Little Ritalin. Much appreciated, buddy. Much appreciated. Yeah, how would you explain that the wizards wouldn't allow a druid in there, given that a druid would significantly increase their agrarian yield, like the yield of their food, for example? Or is it just that the society itself is made up of majority wizard types? Why has this stopped? We go to the end of our playlist. There we go. Interesting, interesting. I do like these sorts of like social world building ideas as concepts. Gallifrey adds no more. You're too good to us, buddy. You're too good to us. But yeah, it's an interesting idea. I like the concept. Here we go. On the first question, good one. Got to think about that because you haven't. That's fair. Depends on the city. Barbarians and the fighters / rangers are clashing with each other with the druids. They're the guardians protecting the forest around the city. So the only ones deemed worthy will be guided into the druidic city. Right. Okay. Yeah, I can see like social guide mentality taking place. So the idea of like wizards see themselves as above the magics of druids, like natural magics, and then like the divine folk think that everybody else is not worthy because they're not divine enough, and then the fighters and the barbarians and whatever else are just too aggressive to, like, they're martially minded, so they can't think of hanging around in a city and reading books all day, and so they just wouldn't be in that sort of environment. That kind of makes sense. The races thing is a tricky one, because it's like, if no one brings it up, it's never going to be a thing you have to worry about. But as soon as someone does, it's then a consideration that you have to have made, kind of thing. Or you could kind of hand wave it. You could just say, because the gods do create the other races in the Forgotten Realms setting. So, the dwarven gods create the dwarves for specific purposes in mining and creating civilization. The elves are made for protecting the lands. The humans were made to provide worship mostly, but like also there's aspects of like building out the civilization, rounding out the civilization. And then a lot of the monstrous races were made by the evil gods. Basically to be servants, to be slaves, or to be tools with which to work. So the idea of them sort of developing evolutionarily doesn't have to be a thing because the gods directly intervene. So I guess the question is, how much do you want your gods to intervene in your world? Aww. So adorable. Alright, where are we at? One, we got 5 here. So that's 11, 12, 13, 14. Have I done 14 already? 4, 6, 10. No, 13. My math was wrong. My math is regularly wrong. Oh, it's because I counted this tiny one. Alright, fuck it. We're gonna make the tiny one really, really good. So let's go down to like... yeah, 3. We're gonna make this one like... a fucking awesome tiny mushroom. And that will justify... I probably have this tiny mushroom already tattooed on my leg, but if not, I would want it tattooed on my leg. For those who don't know, in the chat, I do, for the various adventures that I go on and the quests that I complete, the ridiculousness that I live in my world, I give myself tattoos to remember the various things that I have done, and also to aid me on my quests as part of my religious practice. So my leg is covered in these kinds of tiny little tattoos, which I can show you in a second on the tier cam. But yeah, I think this wonderful tiny little mush man probably should be made into a tattoo. Alright, so apologies about all the hair, but these are all my little tattoos. All of these are hand done by myself. They go the whole way around the leg, even on the back. So we've got like these. Where's a good one? Where's some fun ones? Tree stump. The dragon that I slayed. Pokemon. We've got a lovely egg. We've got skull. Maze. This is not the best. It's not the best camera. Oh, there we go. There's a mushroom. There's a little mushy boy down there. This is not the best camera for this. There he is. But they continue on up my leg and up the rest of my leg. So lots of little tattoos. It's a little fun. Oh, there's my beautiful daughter. Look at that snuzz. Oh. Thank you for bringing up the question. Give you something to think about and work on. You're most welcome. I hope it is actually helpful and not just annoying. Yeah, I poke holes in things. I like to question stuff a lot. So I try not to be too annoying with it, but sometimes can't help it. Thank you, I do appreciate that. I have tried hard to keep it organized. It is they're organized like little runes, so that's sort of what they're supposed to be. Little runic symbols. I think they have come out quite well. But I always appreciate when someone else likes them, so thank you. But yeah, this is this little mush might have to be on there as well. I'm enjoying this little boy. There is a lot of detail here, though, is the only problem, and it might not fit. It might do. It's the right ratio in size-wise. Anyway, let's clean this up a little, and then we'll and then we've got to save these each individually as little things, and then we're going to raid out to someone. So we've got to figure out who we're going to raid to. Yes, I agree. Making it more fun for the players is super important. Getting feedback is good. It can be hard though, like having your thing be criticized or questioned can be frustrating. Totally understand that, but yeah, I agree. As much as it's a game for the DM to enjoy and play, it is also a game for everybody else. And so they should be having fun too. So if you have feedback that would help improve that for them, then yeah, taking and accepting that is a good thing. So good on you. There are definitely lots of DMs out there who don't do that. I don't know many of them. Most of the DMs I know are pretty awesome. But that might just be because I don't play with people who are shitty, so... Alright, let's save this. I think we might just raid out at this point. Because going through and saving each of these individually is going to take some time. Oh, one of my friends. Is playing Total War 2 for charity. So we're going to raid into them. He is Mr. Mao. He does wonderful art stuff. He does wonderful... he's a traditional artist mostly, but he also does great digital art. He is amazing. So, we're going to go raid into him. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, Ritalin, for coming along and joining us. We stream Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I do Pokemon Tuesdays with Cognitive Bard. I do my Wednesday art streams, and then Thursday is usually our Sandbox Survival Thursday, or Thor's Day, because we're doing Valheim at the moment. Fridays is usually drink nights, but you know, depending on how we're going for the week. And then there's sometimes extra little streams here and there. If you're interested and keen, the Discord has a whole section for D&D. It also has a whole section for art. So go and check it out. And we will catch you all next time. Thank you so much for being here. You guys are awesome. Make sure you look after yourselves. Have a drink, have something to eat, take a rest, and give some love to Mr. Mao. I'm going to chuck my little raid thing in there. If you are subscribed to me, which I think all of you are at the moment. You can just copy and paste this when we get in there. So that is it there. You can copy and paste that, and then we'll run off to our raid. Oh, 10, 9. See you guys. Bye.